Hey there, we're in the car, and it is part 5 / the final part of 31 Books in 31 Days. So at the end of this vlog, we're going to have a Shark Week and Sharkathon wrap up, and I will be announcing who read the most during Sharkathon. So if you want to find that out, make sure you stick around to the end of the vlog. So I haven't finished watching all of my Shark Week shows because being with family and stuff. So I have to catch up on the show part of Sharkathon when I get home. But before I go to my hometown, I am in a city called Ogden, which is north of Salt Lake City. And I'm going to hit up 3 thrift stores. Actually, it was already in one. It was a Desert Industries that I hadn't been to for like 7-8 years. There are lots of different branches of that store. It's kind of like a chain of thrift stores. Anyway, I found some things I think will be good for crafting. I will do a thrift haul in a separate video, so you'll see everything that I got. And then I have 2 more stores to go to, and then I'm gonna head home. So I am listening to the audiobook of Beautiful Maddening, and it is on my August TBR and it's still July, but I don't care. That's the audiobook that I have available on Libby right now, and so I'm gonna read it ahead of time, and that will help with, you know, getting through my August TBR when it's actually August. So yeah, I'm gonna head off. Oh, I should tell you a little bit more about the book. So far it's really interesting. It's about this girl who, her name is Lark Good, and she and her brother are just about to graduate from high school, and they live in this place that her family's kind of been cursed because her great whatever grandpa stole some tulips from, or smuggled in some tulips to the United States when he moved, and it was during the Dutch tulip craze, and these tulips that he brought over have this magic or curse or whatever associated, so that her family, like, people just fall in love with them. And if she were to look you in the eyes, like, you would be lost to her. And so she's really just annoyed by it and hates it, but her brother kind of milks it to get free stuff and that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, but a couple things happen at the same time. We have a new boy that doesn't really go to her school, but like is hanging around the school, and he is impervious to the charms of the tulips. He's like the only person to not fall for anyone in the Good family. And then we also have somebody who has snuck onto their farm and stolen some of the tulips, and the kids in the high school have gotten a hold of them, and they're acting almost like these tulips are a drug. They're addicted to this like feeling of power or romance that they get when people, like if I was not a Good but I had one of these tulips, then people would be attracted to me and falling in love with me and stuff, and so it changes the way they feel, and it's very addictive. So it's been really interesting to see what's happened so far. I am, let's see, 3 hours and 46 minutes into it. It is almost 9 hours total, so I'm about a third of the way through-ish. And I'm interested to see what else happens next. I don't know if this new boy at school is tied to the flowers disappearing or not, but Lark is interested in him because he is not falling for her. He's like the only person that's not, and yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to continue on my thrifting journey, and I'll update you on the reading stuff when I get home. Hey there, we're back in the office. So I was able to do some thrifting yesterday, and I finished the audiobook of A Beautiful Maddening, and I have the physical copy right here. Okay, so yes, this book, The Beautiful Maddening. I told you about the flowers and the curse and all this stuff. So I can tell you a little bit more without spoiling too much. The mysterious boy that she meets, of course they end up kind of catching feelings for each other, and she thinks, finally I can have actual love because he's immune to the flowers and it's all gonna be great. Her twin brother in the meantime is trying to convince her not to leave town, because as soon as they graduate, she's out of there. She's always wanted to leave. Their mom left years and years ago, and she never heard from her since, and dad is taking off all the time for work and stuff, so it's just kind of been her and her brother, and so it's always been the plan. When we graduate, I'm out, and he likes being in town. He has a job at the guitar shop and works there and stuff, so they know they're going to be separated from each other, and she's found this new love, but then more complications start happening. The kids in town are becoming even more crazed for the tulips that are missing from their farm, and they've got to do something about that because it's going to turn into a serious situation with all kinds of problems. So, yeah, other things happen, but I can't really talk about them because I don't want to ruin the experience for you. Also, let's just take a moment to enjoy this beautiful cover. I mean, we see floral book covers quite often, but tulips are not often featured. And we have this combination of like the purple and the white and the gold. It's just really lovely. Shea Earnshaw's writing is very good. I haven't read this through Kappa yet, but I think it's going to come out at 4.5-ish stars. There was one little plot thing that I didn't care for, but it's going to be one of those things that I can't really tell you about. But otherwise, it was very enjoyable. It's also quite a short book. After I finished that one, I did go ahead and start the audiobook for A Little Bit Country. So it's still July, and I am still trying to get my 31 books done. And I've got 3 days left, today and 2 more days, and I've got to finish 4 or 5 books. I'm a little bit behind. So I have audiobooks reserved and that are now available on Libby that are technically part of my August TBR, and I'm just going to jump into them because audiobooks are going to help me get to my goal, and it also will allow me to do a little bit of crafting while I listen, so that's where we're at. Little Bit Country is following 2 different boys. They take turns narrating chapters. We have Emmett and Luke. Emmett wants to be country music's biggest gay superstar, and he's going to get a job working at a show at this Dollywood type amusement park, but the Wanda Jean Stubbs is the artist, but everything else is Dolly, like the way that they talk about her coming up in the country music world in the 60s and how she had to fight just to be heard as a female, and how she's this wonderful songwriter, and just like the theme park thing, everything is Dolly except for just with a different name. And then Luke does not like country music, and yeah, we haven't gotten a whole lot of his backstory about his grandmother, but we know that she had a very famous falling out with Wanda Jean, but he does end up getting a job at a restaurant at Wanda World, because he was working at this factory and he was getting bullied a lot for being, it's hard to tell whether he's bisexual or he just dated a girl to cover, like as a beard situation, and then kind of came out as gay. Either way, these 2 boys literally smacked into each other on Luke's first day at the park, and Emmett has been trying to find him ever since. He's like, I'm not sure because he said he was here for a job interview. I'm not sure where he's working. I think it's here, and so he's kind of low-key, like, looking out for him. But Luke, he's a dishwasher at the restaurant, so he's not going to be like out in the public in the park and that kind of thing. So we'll see. They got to eventually bump into each other at some point because they are the romance of the story. So it'll be fun to see where that all comes out. I am enjoying it so far. We'll see where it takes us. And yeah. There we go. I do have something I should share with you. I'm just not going to do it right now because I've got a couple things I need to take care of this morning. But when I was in Utah, so the gal that I did the photo shoot for, she was cleaning out her room, making room for, I'm sure, like a bassinet for her baby and, things that she's going to need shifting into being a single mom. But she said, I have a whole bunch of books that you might like. Can I give them to you? I have a box of books. And I said, sure. So she and her mom came over, and her mom and I were visiting on the front porch, and she went to put the books in the back of my car. So later I go out there and look, and there's not just one box of books, there's 2 boxes of books. And they look mostly like middle grade ones. So at some point in this vlog, I'm going to sit down and go through each book and show with you what I got. And at first glance, there are some that I already have, but I can tell you a lot of them are going to end up going to my classroom, either as additions to my classroom library or as giveaways for my kids. So that's really fun, and it was very sweet of her to give them to me, because she could have taken them to like a donation center or anything like that. So we'll go through those in a little while, and I'm going to go continue listening to this and do some junk journaling. I am working on the orange junk journal that I started making in the vlog where I went to Goodwill and found that yearbook with the cool cover and all that stuff. So I think that was a video that came out a few weeks ago. I don't know. I'll link part 1 in the description down below. And then when I'm finished working in the book, I will do a flip through for everyone to see. So yeah, that's it for this check-in. And we'll see you in a little while, and I'll give you more reading news. Hey there, I'm back. I have finished the audiobook of A Little Bit Country. I can listen to audiobooks on faster speed when I'm crafting, so I did go through this pretty quickly, but was making sure to pay attention to the story. It was really cute. So Luke, the one that wants to be a chef and stuff, I mentioned before that he dated a girl. He was not out to anybody, and so part of him being comfortable with who he was is a big part of the story. The Wanda Jean character that I said was a lot like Dolly still continued to be a lot like her, but with some differences, you know. And Luke finds some of his grandmother's old songs written in a notebook, and he thinks, oh, some of these look kind of like Wanda Jean's songs. Did she steal my grandma's songs? So Emmett, who is the performer, he also performs at an open mic and is approached by a recording artist that wants him to play straight so he can reach a wider audience. So they're both dealing with some things, and they try to have each other's backs as well, because they really like each other a whole lot. And yeah, it was just a cute contemporary. I found myself really appreciating the music references, because even though Wanda Jean is a fictional character, they do mention real country artists. Some of the ones that were mentioned were Dolly, I think, at the very beginning, Tanya Tucker, Carrie Underwood, Johnny Cash, who else? Rascal Flatts. I don't know. There were some that are considered more classic country and some more contemporary, and it was just fun to hear some of those mentioned in a book. So there we go. Ran it through Compile, and it was 4 stars. I also ran The Beautiful Maddening through Compile, and that was 4.5, as I kind of guessed it would be. Up next, I'm going to jump into another audiobook, and this is another one that's also on my August TBR, but the audiobook's available now. So it's She Is a Haunting, and it's supposed to be super creepy, and yeah, I kind of got freaked out reading the synopsis in my TBR video, so we'll see how it goes. I wanted to do something that was dramatically different from the last book I listened to, so I think mission accomplished here. And I'll let you know as the book goes on if it's good, if it's not, and what we think. So we'll see you in a little while. The leader of the band gets tired and his eyes are growing old, but his blood runs through my instrument. His song is in my soul. My life has been a poor attempt to imitate the man. I am a living legacy of the leader of the band. Hello. It is now Tuesday evening. I have finished She Is a Haunting, and I have the Dan Fogelberg song, The Leader of the Band, stuck in my head. It's making me think about my dad. Anyway, yeah. The 31 books in 31 days challenge is making good progress, because I have finished She's a Haunting. We now have read 29 books, and we have 2 more days to go after today, so we are right on track. I still have that Voice of the Ocean book that I started during Shark Week that I have not finished reading physically. So I've got 100 pages left in that. I could keep reading even some tonight before I go to sleep. And I've got several audiobooks that are up on Libby. So yeah, I should be able to finish the 31 with no problem. Yay. I honestly didn't know that that was going to happen, but holy cow. Okay. I was looking for this page in my bullet journal. This is where I've been keeping track of my 31 books. So you can see we've just got 2 blank lines left. So, She Is a Haunting. Where did I put that? This book here. Again, I know it's on my August TBR and it's still July. Don't care. Because my August TBR is quite massive, and you have possibly seen my August TBR video by the time this video comes out. So you know that it's got a lot of books on there, and school starts in August, so yeah. But what I thought I'd do is take a minute and go through these books that were gifted to me. So I talked to you earlier about that. Now, some of these I have looked, kind of just briefly glanced at the spines. For example, I know Front Desk by Kelly Yang is in here, but I don't know what all the books are. So we're just going to go through them together. And we have 2 boxes like this. These popsicle boxes that are quite long. So I'm not going to stop and talk about what each one is. We're just going to hold these up and take a look at them. Proud by Olympic medalist Ibtija Muhammad. The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I don't know how to say things. Posey the Puppy by Jane Clark. That's going to be a little bit too young for my kiddos, but that's okay. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, one of my most beloved books from when I was young. Oh, that's by Mildred D. Taylor. Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. Second Grade Star by Nancy Alberts. Ghostville Elementary, New Ghoul in School by Marcia Thorne Jones and Debbie Dady. Amber Brown is Green with Envy by Paula Danziger. I think that's the lady that co-wrote the Hank Zipser books. I don't know though. Unicorns Don't Give Sleigh Rides by Debbie Dady and Marcia Thornton Jones. There's Front Desk by Kelly Yang. Last Gate of the Emperor by Kwame Mbalia and Prince Joel McConnon. I've heard of Kwame Mbalia before. Owl Diaries, Eva and Baby Mo by Rebecca Elliott. Just Jamie by Terry Libinson. I think this is a graphic novel. Let's see. Kind of, yeah. The Dressmaker's Daughter by Joshua M. Green and Edith Dita Lowy. A True Story of the Holocaust. Stone Fox by John Reynolds Gardner. Wandering Caveman. The Mystery of Wandering Caveman. Do we see an author's name here? Where's the author? Something Carey? Something Carey. M. something Carey. Olaf's Frozen Adventure. Also no author listed because it's Disney. So we'll just say by Disney Publishing. The Curse of Raven's Court by American Girl Publishers. Also no author's name. It's an American Girl mystery. The Kidnapped Kitten by Holly Webb. The Gift of the Magi and Other Stories by O. Henry. Mr. Louis is Screwy by Dan Gutman. Dan Gutman's pretty funny. Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer. Saving Winslow by Sharon Creech. Love Sharon Creech. Fever 1793 by Laurie Hulse Anderson. Beware Princess Elizabeth by Carolyn Meyer. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien. She has some good books. Why are you... I was going to say, why are you getting rid of these? But I know. She needs to clear space in her room. Grace by Mary Casanova. This is another American Girls book. Another American Girls, A Spy on the Home Front. No author listed on the cover. The Stolen Sapphire, another American Girls with no author listed, but this does say Edgar Award nominee. Anna Hibiscus by Atanuke. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Okay, that's box 1. So I'm going to put these books back into that box, and then we'll go into the second box. And when I'm done going through these, I think we're going to just take the whole boxes to the school. Okay, starting off box number 2. We have One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia. Absolutely love that one. Enchanted Pony Academy, Let It Glow by Lisa Ann Scott. Saving Shiloh by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. Anderson's Fairy Tales, of course, Hans Christian Andersen. It's Halloween, I'm Turning Green by Dan Gutman. Ways to Make Sunshine by Renee Watson. Jake the Fake Keeps It Real by Craig Robinson, Adam Manspot. Art by Keith Knight. Craig Robinson, like from The Office Craig Robinson? It is. That's funny. I did not know that he was in the children's book world. Okay, back on the books. Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. Love this one. Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. One and Only Ivan. Catherine Applegate. Frindle by Andrew Clement. 10 True Tales, Young Survivors of the Holocaust by Alan Zulo. If you're looking for nonfiction for young people, Alan Zulo is the author you should look up at Zullo, Zulo. A Dog's Purpose by M.C. Ross. Shannon the Ocean Fairy by Daisy Meadows. Sleepover Friends, numbers 2 and 4 by Susan Saunders. The Puppy Palace, Lucy by Ellen Milas. Whatever After by Sarah Milanowski. Dear America, West to a Land of Plenty, The Diary of Teresa Angelino Viscardi. The Lemonade War by Jacqueline Davis. Field Tripped by Alan Woodrow. Because of the Rabbit by Cynthia Lord. Rise of the Isle of the Lost, Melissa de la Cruz. Brothers Below Zero by Tor Siedler. A Student's Dictionary. I'll have to show my students this. It'll freak them out. What do you mean the dictionary's not a computer? Hatchet by Gary Paulson. That'll take me all of like a half a second to find somebody who wants that. And 2 last books we have Shy and Emmy Star in Break an Egg by Venzani Wallace. And Sheets by Brenna Thumler. So big thank you to my dear friends. I am not going to say their names just because it's, their privacy I'm looking after. But it was really amazing of them to donate all of those books for my students and me to enjoy. And we are going to have lots of fun with those. So any that are too young for my students, I'll pass along to the elementary teachers. My school building is grades K through 8, so we'll have plenty of classrooms to share those with. Okay, So yeah, today's been a great reading day so far, and I've got a couple of hours before I go to bed, so I'm gonna see what else I can read, and we'll see you in a little while. Good morning. It's Wednesday, and I got up this morning and finished the last bit of Voice of the Ocean. This book was confusing to rate. In the end, I put it through Compile, and it came out as a 3.5. And I thought, okay, I should round it down to 3. And then I thought, okay, this is the author's debut. Maybe I should give her more credit. And some of the things that annoyed me were just like, because of how I read. I don't know. So in the end, I put it as a round up to 4 stars on Goodreads, just to kind of help the author. This author is a YouTuber. This is her debut. And I will say that overall, I enjoyed the reading experience. There were some places that were confusing because of continuity errors, but I did have an overall enjoyable experience. It was a fun adventure that involved pirates. You know, I love pirates. Ooh, should I do like a pirate-themed readathon at some point? No. I have too many things on my plate. No. The romance between Celeste and Raiden was really fun to read, and this apparently is going to be a series because it sets up for a sequel. I can't tell you why without spoiling some things, but I will tell you that toward the end of the book we have some serious betrayals by one of the characters. We have some plot twists that will lead us into what I'm sure will be the main task of the sequel. So yeah, I just have one more book to finish to make it to my 31 books goal. I have today and tomorrow to do that. So I'm not sure if I'll read a physical book or an audiobook. Depends on, I guess, how much I want to craft. I do want to just go like chill in my chair for a minute, maybe watch a YouTube video or something, and let my brain kind of decompress from this book, because there's a lot of things that I'm still like, I don't even know if I put the right rating. I'm still kind of overthinking it, as I tend to do with some things. Yeah, that'll be it for this check-in moment on the vlog, and I'll come back when I have more info for you. I'm also going to do a Shark Week and Sharkathon wrap-up at the end of this vlog as well, so make sure you stay tuned to the end. We did it! 31 books are done! Ooh! Okay, I need to rewind a little bit because I was thinking, and I don't think I ever told you really the plot or anything about She Is a Haunting. I'm gonna have to remind myself. Okay, Jade. Jade is our main character. She goes to this French colonial house in Vietnam that her father is trying to restore and open up as like a B&B kind of place. And she's supposed to help with the work and also the website for the facility. And she comes to realize or suspect that the place is haunted very quickly because several times she wakes up with sleep paralysis, cannot move. She's worried that her little sister, who's also there, is going to be affected by this. And Dad has just sunk his heels in. Nope, we're not leaving. And so she thinks that if she can add more fake haunting elements, then maybe Dad will realize, yeah, this place is haunted, we should leave. So she ropes in a friend or two to help. She is also gay, and she has struggled with that because when she mentioned something as a child about a girl, one of her parents, I think it was maybe her dad, yelled at her and said, "No, girls like boys," and she was pretty upset by this. And so there is a girl in this that she is kind of checking out and like, kind of like her. The haunting parts are pretty creepy. It reminded me a lot of the old movie, The Watcher in the Woods. Not necessarily to do with much in the way of plot. Not necessarily in like really plot elements, but just like super uber creepy vibes. Yeah. And now, as I sit here thinking about it, do I want to go watch that movie? Yes, I do. But we've got to move on to other things. So, this one I gave 4 stars, I believe. I already forgot, and I'm not going to go walk into the other room to find my notebook. So, let's go on to the last book. This is book number 31 of July. It is the 31st. It's about 6:15 p.m. So I still have a few hours. I could maybe read something else, but we're gonna call it a done deal here. We made the goal. I don't know how, but we did. So, The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. I started reading this physically, and I was just itching to craft, and so I went and found the audiobook and listened to it, and I have to say that I really, really, really enjoyed this. It ended up being a 4.5 out of 5 stars when I ran it through Compile. So we're following Olivia, who is the daughter of a famous mystery writer. He's comparable to Stephen King. He's very, very successful, right? In the same way that Stephen King is very known for horror, her father is like very into mystery, and maybe he writes horror also, I forget, because his writing isn't so much a part of the story. When he was a teenager, his brother and sister were murdered, and he's always been suspected. And Olivia hasn't spoken to him in years. They're very estranged, but so she gets a call from her agent and says, hey, Vincent Taylor, like the Vincent Taylor wants you to ghostwrite his next book and he's insisting on you. And she hasn't had work in a while because she dared to like call out a creepy man on a ghostwriting panel and accuse him of just doing his work for the money because he wrote about a vile, awful criminal person. Anyway, she's been kind of shunned. So even though she realizes it's her father, her boyfriend doesn't know that Vincent Taylor is her father. Her agent doesn't know. Nobody knows other than her best friend that she grew up with, Jack. Jack is the son of her Uncle Danny's best friend. So Vincent's her father, and then Uncle Danny is one of the kids that got murdered, right? He had a best friend. Best friend's son is Jack. So Olivia and Jack grew up together. Jack knows everything. Okay? So Olivia decides, you know what? I have my back up against the wall. I lost this lawsuit to that creepy guy I called out. I gotta pay him. I haven't had work in ages. I've got to do this. So she goes to meet up with her father, and he is giving her tidbits of the story, but she's got to research and piece things together, and he won't let her speak to anyone about the book. So she kind of has to be her old self, Olivia Taylor. She hadn't gone by that name for quite a while, but ask people questions as just the niece of the 2 kids that were murdered. And she just wants to know for her own peace of mind and for her family's peace of mind and, you know, that kind of thing. But on the side, she's also writing this book for her father. Now, there were several times where I thought I had figured out what happened, and then I was wrong. And then I was wrong again, and then I was wrong again. And, like, the last 2 or 3 chapters had, like, 3 different plot twists. And just when you think you finally got the full story, then you're like, wait a minute, nope. Gotta find out what actually happened. Holy cow. It was such an enjoyable read. Again, it is The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. I would recommend it. It's not very long. It's only 333 pages. So give it a try if you're into mystery, murder mystery, that kind of thing. Okay, so the last part of this video is going to be a Sharkathon and Shark Week wrap up, including results of the Sharkathon readathon, who read the most and stuff. So I'll be right back with the results for you, and we'll talk about Shark Week. Alright, the time has come for the Shark Week wrap-up. I have caught up, watched all the new shows for 2025 for Shark Week, and overall I was pleased. I will say, in general, I feel like there was a lot about white sharks, tiger sharks, bull sharks, hammerheads maybe. Whale sharks were mentioned in 1 episode. That's better than 0, I suppose. Didn't get much in the way of interesting or unique, like less well-known shark species. There was 1 alien sharks episode, but even that one didn't have a whole ton of species. So maybe underwhelmed would be a good word. Like, I wanted more of the interesting species and stuff. Having said that, though, they did have some interesting takes on things in terms of looking at how those big predator sharks behave and live in the oceans and stuff. And they had kind of some funny, silly, goofy episodes, like at the very beginning, the Dancing with the Sharks thing. That was just silly. And then the bull shark competition between the US and Australia. That episode made me laugh because it was cheesy and intentionally made to be cheesy, but they had like Florida man jokes and I don't know. It was just kind of enjoyable, I guess. Yeah, but overall, I feel like it was good. In terms of Sharkathon, the readathon, we read a decent amount for the amount of people that participated. So this year we did something a little bit different in terms of the game board and moving through it and filling different prompts. Prompts that were not necessarily based on different shark species, and that was fun to do, just kind of take a break for a year and do something a little bit different. But we'll probably go back to the shark-based prompts next year. Also, I need you guys to let me know in the comments, like, if you want to keep doing Sharkathon or not, because I don't want to, like, keep hosting it and putting work into creating prompts and things if people are just participating to be nice. Like, I don't know. I have a little bit of insecurity about that kind of stuff, so yeah. I'm not being very eloquent today. Apologies. I got really sick the other day and it was just, yeah. My head's still a little bit fuzzy. Okay, so let's talk about top 4 readers. Now, when I went to calculate the reading, on the form, you guys put in page ranges, not exact number of pages, but you also put title and author. So I went and looked up each book and found the number of pages that they had, and that figured in, so both number of books read and number of pages read. So it could be that someone like read a lot of books, but they were quite small, and someone else read just a few books that were quite longer. It just kind of is a numbers game. But we're going to go through the top 4 and see how it all shook out. So 4th place is Sweet Tea Reads. Now I wrote these little signs out in cursive. I hope you can read them all. And Sweet Tea Reads, good job. She is hosting her own readathon in September, and her announcement video came up the other day. I will link it for you in the space below. It's about cryptids, and it sounds like a really fun readathon, so go check that out if you need a readathon to do in September. 3rd place was Paginator, me. 2nd place, Fantasy Writer. And 1st place was the Dreadful Lemon Shark. Yay, congratulations. So I said top 4. Actually, there are the only 4. We only had 4 participants this year. But that's okay. I have a small channel. I know it doesn't get nearly the reach as the big channels do. Let's go over a few other stats. I've got my Shark Week Junk Journal folio thing that I made here, and I have some little pie charts from the results of our Google form. So, in terms of prompts, the most used prompt was enter the competition, read a book in your favorite genre, and second most used was make friends with a sea creature, read a book featuring friendship. Am I reading the colors right on that? It's kind of dark in here. Yeah, I think that's right. In terms of the books were they related to sharks, mermaids, and or the ocean, 92% were yes, and then 8% were no. And then pages read, most of the books were in the 201 to 400 pages length, which seems about right. That's usually the typical length of a novel, is going to be somewhere in there. So our totals for Sharkathon were 25 books read and then 6,321 pages. So our top finisher, the Dreadful Lemon Shark, read 9 of those books and 2,493 pages. Good job. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna need a little bit of help from you guys in terms of moving forward with Sharkathon in the future. 1, do you still want to do it? And 2, would you prefer to go back to the shark-based prompts, because that's kind of the way I'm leaning. Please give me a comment below, and this will be the end of the part 5 of 31 books in 31 days as well. So I appreciate you joining me on that journey. It was really fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, magical, and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.